So, Andrew, last weekend, we had DebateCon. Now, you've talked about this a little bit on your stream, obviously. It's been going pretty viral, these different clips of your debate with Daniel Hikikachu. We got together before it. We were planning out all these arguments and everything, and I think this was one of the most killer arguments, that maybe the most killer argument that anybody's ever made against the Muslims. So...
Well, to give the audience a little bit of background here, we, throughout our entire Vegas trip, as we were doing these various debates, we did not consider any of the debates which were going to happen in California or Vegas to really be worthy of very much prep time or very much dive in. Considered basically the adversaries there to be on the weaker end, and the ones that were going to DebateCon, who are professional debaters, be on the more, let's say, you need to do some prep end. Mm-hmm. So we mostly spent our time prepping for those debates. Not that we didn't prep for all of them, we did. But except I think the Charlie one, I didn't prep for that because destroying her for 6 hours took no time at all, right? Took no prep at all. But this one we prepped a lot on. And remember that the topic here was, which is better for society, Islam or Christianity? And what happens often is Christians want to get into kind of whether or not these guys, theology is true or untrue or things like that. I didn't want to give this guy that out. And so what I wanted to focus on was the actual benefits, the social benefits in society of Christianity versus what you actually see with Islam. And that's exactly what I did. And it cornered him very quickly. And because, like I said in my opening statement, I think that Daniel is a better apologist for Islam than I am for Christianity. That's for sure. But I don't think he's anywhere near as politically informed as I am. So all I really needed to do was move him outside of his comfort zone, and that was it for him.
Yep. All right. Well, this guy made a few good shorts of it, so let's take a look at some of the better moments.
This Muslim tried to argue that Islam is better than Christianity for society, and he got brutally humiliated.
Everywhere Islam goes, the IQ goes like this because they all are their cousins, not joking. Populations with widespread cousin marriage show more individuals with lower cognitive performance. Generational compounding over successful generations. Harmful genes accumulate. In fact, study shows that when a country has a sub-90 IQ average, they find it difficult to have basic innovation, infrastructure, professional class, and other basic needs of a functional society. Is that sounding familiar yet? Islam took an ethnic people that were at the heart of being the top of civilization, and through generations of Islam and inbreeding has turned them into the lowest IQ, some of the stupidest people on planet Earth. Literally. You think I'm being mean? I'm not. They're literally some of the stupidest people on planet Earth. Everywhere Islam goes, inbreeding increases and societies become worse. Where Christianity goes, inbreeding decreases, so societies do better in almost every material way. Because the technological difference and capabilities of each people group is so vastly different, Islam must literally bank on the benevolence of Christians to not wipe them off the face of planet Earth. They are basically, the Feminists of the East, totally reliant on the goodwill and benevolence of global Christianity, not to just not exterminate them and take their resources. Always appealing to the mightier force for their existence and the benevolence of that very people group who Daniel today is arguing doesn't make better societies, which is a laughable proposition.
So he did a pretty good job there, I reckon, of distilling the argument in a short.
Yeah, I think he did. So the idea was twofold. One, the reason that the societies are better by Christians, like there's one in the chat right now who says Christianity doesn't condemn cousin marriage. Yes, it does. By edict, by our ecclesiology, yes, in fact, it does do that. Now, there could be Protestants who decide that they read the Bible and there's no condemnation there, but our ecclesiology, and I went through the history in this debate of Christian ecclesiology stopping cousin marriage, and that's basically why the collective IQ begins to go up, whereas Muslims have been practicing it for 1,400 years, and that's why their collective IQ is in the toilet. So that is, in fact, true. But the other side, the twist that I wanted to give was I knew that Daniel was going to try to make a moral argument. His argument was going to be, and this is actually a good argument, I said so in the opening of the debate, that Christians have done a terrible job at stopping feminism, at stopping egalitarianism, at stopping prostitution, at stopping promiscuity. They've done a terrible job at that. And he's actually correct about that. I have to give it to him. But that really doesn't negate the point here, which is that they're banking on the benevolence of Christians the same way the degenerates bank on the benevolence of Christians to not just stop them from what they're doing via force. And the reason that Islam is at such a huge disadvantage and can't really stop anything that the West does is because technologically they can't catch up because their IQs are too low to even have middle management. That's literally the truth.
Yep.
And so that was the dive in for, well, you can't really say that I'm immoral, one, or a degenerate when, okay, I think being your first cousin is pretty degenerate. And two, you can't really say that that there's a moral appeal to make here where you're more moral than we are, when it is the case, in fact, that you have to bank on our moral benevolence for your very existence, because absent Christianity, what would actually stop us from just going through and wiping this people group off the face of the earth and taking all the resources? And the answer to that is nothing.
Yeah,
the answer is literally nothing. They have to bank on our benevolence.
They're the feminists of the East. I loved that. All right, well, I've got one more of these clips that I want to play here. This was one of my favorite moments of the debate for sure.
Would you allow your nephew to marry your daughter? Watch this Christian and Muslim answer this question.
We have this tradition in the West where the man typically goes to the father and asks for the daughter's hand in marriage. If your nephew came up to you asking this, would you permit it?
No.
Daniel?
Sorry, I didn't understand. Your nephew, can you repeat that?
So we have this tradition in the West where the man who wants to marry a lady goes to the father asking for the daughter's hand in marriage. So if your nephew came to you with this request, would you permit it?
Yeah, I'd consider it. Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
consider it depending on qualities I'd have. Yeah.
Your
By
face
the way,
there says it all.
that was a super Chad. So that guy has been at several Crucible events, right? I'm not going to give any information about him, but a super nice guy. I always enjoy having a beer or two with him. A very sharp guy. And I thought that was a devastating question.
It really was, man. It was he absolutely nailed it there. Yeah, it was devastating. But the thing is, when we were going over this before the debate, we were thinking, well, what angle is he going to take? Is he going to try and wriggle out of this, or is he just going to have to bite the bullet? And then obviously, Muhammad married one of his first cousins, and half of the Islamic world is engaged in this practice. So we just figured that he'd have to bite the bullet, and he did.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, I remember arguing about this. There's no possible way this guy's actually going to bite the bullet that, cousin marriage is something which should be fought for in Islam. And after going back and forth, we really didn't see a way that he could avoid it. And we were totally right. He did. It's the craziest thing that I've ever seen. But he was really fighting for first cousin marriage as being something which was somehow good for society because, well, they can still live beautiful lives with their low IQ selves, even though materially they're suffering in every single capacity you can imagine. And it's like, why? You don't have to do that. You can have a high IQ society that's also very faithful. You don't have to have one or the other.
Well, moving over to X now, the plot thickens, actually. So if you guys can see this, we've got Daniel Hakikachu with some self-owns. The myth of consensual cousin marriage. I consent. And then Andrew Wilson over here, I don't. Is there somebody you forgot to ask?
Yeah, okay.
Daniel Hakikachu posted this.
He actually posted this, okay? So somebody, I got this sent to me, and I looked at it, and I was like, man, I wonder who made this. You know what I mean? I'm sure, because I thought somebody was being ironic. I thought somebody was joking around and messing around, and I thought that was a funny meme that somebody else had made. Like some Crucible crew member or something to just kind of meme the debate because it was really funny. And then I go and I find out Daniel Hakikachu, he's the one who posted it on his X, dude. I was just like, I've never laughed so hard in my life. I was like, no, there's no way.
Yeah.
Like, look at the post. So I go look at them. I'm like, there's just no, how is this possible? The guy just dunked all over himself.
Wild.
It's actually stunning that this level of self-own is just crazy.
Oh, it's it's wild. It's
is there somebody you
it's
forgot
hard
to
to
ask?
even is there somebody yeah. I consent. Well, I don't. That's true. I don't consent to people marrying their first cousin. That's true.
Because what was the meme that was actually funny?
Did you see Sam Shamoon?
No?
Sam Shamoon said that Christianity doesn't stop people from marrying their first cousin either. And so it's a bad argument. That's what
Really?
Sam Shamoon, yeah, Sam Shamoon said that shit. I couldn't believe it. The guy hates me so much because of that small spat that we had where because I went on the stream after these guys were talking all kinds of shit, right? And, I had a small back and forth with him, and then I just didn't worry about it anymore, right? And he's still so mad about it that rather than just say like, "Hey, look, obviously you want your collective IQ higher than if you want to have a society,
Donkey pull cart.
yeah, donkey pull cart." Instead, he goes, "Yeah, Daniel's right about this. In Christianity, you can marry your first cousin, even though in Catholicism, which I think he's a Catholic, that's absolutely not the case. You're not allowed to." So
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but imagine hating me so much. That guy's whole job is just to like smash Islam into the dust, right? That's what he does. Imagine hating me so much that you still root for the Islamicist anyway. That's the craziest shit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild.
ADS is real, man. Andrew Wilson derangement syndrome is no joke.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, we went through it in the opening statement how whenever there was Muslim reign throughout places in Europe and then the Catholics would take over, they would ban it straight away. And they banned it. They banned it as much as 7 degrees of cousin marriage.
Yeah.
You can't do that. And it's like, if that's the case, back then they didn't, I can't imagine they had any IQ testing or any way to really sort of get empirical data about it, but they just knew it made people stupid and they knew that it was a terrible thing to do. So they went ahead and banned it. This is what the Catholics have always done throughout history.
Yeah, that's what they do. And so the thing here that's funny is we showed a ton of proof that where Christianity takes root, the ecclesiology roots this out. They root out inbreeding, and so they collectively make a much smarter people group. And it was really funny because he posted another one. Daniel did, Muslim dunks on Christian because he brought up Israel, and then it made my point for me. Like his argument made my point. And Jim Bob, it was the very first comment I saw is Jim Bob, and he's like, "That makes Andrew's point, you dumb." It's just like you made his point for him. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And by the way, these guys, like I walk away from the debate and I don't really ever think about it again. These people have been hyper focusing on it. Like Daniel Kikachu, he's done multiple Cope streams about it, this type of thing. And it's like, okay, you can do that, but I treated that guy with nothing but respect in that debate. I made great arguments and that was that.
Well, I mean, they do have to cope because this sent Islam back beyond the Stone Ages.
Do you think they're smart enough to know that though?
No, they're not going to think about it.
Do you think that they're not going to really sit down and have a deep think about this? I don't think so.
Yeah, I thought the most interesting part of the argument, though, is when you're looking at the chessboard. So when you're looking at the fact that Muslims are obviously breeding more and they're infiltrating Western countries at a pretty high rate at the moment, people are pretty scared that they're going to be the dominant religion of the world and they're going to take over. But then you think about it with this argument in mind, they're going to really struggle to do that because they're just not smart enough to actually defeat their enemies. Like the Spanish conquistadors went over to Latin America and were way outnumbered, but the technology just meant that it didn't even matter.
Yeah, the technological difference, as I said to Daniel, it's the Starship Enterprise versus the Apollo 13. I mean, that's the difference in technology. And they have they cannot conquer the West. They can't do it with sword. They can't do it with gun. They can't do it with anything. They're not capable of it. These people are, as far as we're concerned, these are Stone Age primitives. I mean, they might as well be. Their technology is so, unadvanced. And so, yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's the thing, man, is they really do have to bank on our benevolence. As far as they're concerned, we're space aliens. We're space aliens with Dyson spheres who have mastered teleportation, and we have laser guns. That's how they need to start viewing this.
Yeah. Big 300 coming in from DPG thing over here says, we did it. LFG, blessings to all. My last minutes before heading to be with the family this week. Wanted to say thank you for all you do and to the people. Not one step back. Cheers, Jake and Andrew. Christianity is better than Muslims. And DPG totally thing, in the Thanksgiving stream that you did last night, donated like 25 grand and then 2 grand to mine just to help feed families around America this Thanksgiving. So just an unbelievable output.
Yeah, we
by
raised
DPT.
$50,000 total in about 4 hours, and we're dispensing that immediately. We've already begun dispensing that to make sure that everybody who needs to get a meal gets a real good one. It can't just be a meal; it's got to be a feast. You know, it's got to be a feast. Thanksgiving's not about eating a sandwich. You know what I mean? It's about having a massive feast with the family.
Yep. Alrighty. There was one more point I wanted to make about this, but I can't remember what it was. But we'll go another argument that was made here about the IQ.
If it's true that right now YouTube and these oligarchs can deplatform me tomorrow, and that is true, that me having a lower IQ is going to be somehow help me in that situation. That's my question. How is it that having lower collective IQs would help us against transhumanists, Daniel?
So the answer to my question has been this whole time that there are other values. So yeah, I might be stupid. I might be lower IQ than someone else, but I enjoy my life in other ways. I find value in
dude, just answer the question.
That is the answer to your question. To worshiping God, going and spending time with my family, having a wife who loves me, and I don't have to worry about her cheating on me or having this long history at college or whatever. Having children that actually respect me and who will take care of me in my old age.
How does a high IQ preclude you from that?
Because it leads to atheism.
It's
correlated with atheism.
So here, let me show you the circle. Hang on, let me just show you the circular argument.
I'm making an independent argument
Yeah,
for
I know,
why
but let me show you the circularity.
these values are important.
Can I show you the circularity here? So
Okay,
your circularity of your argument is like this. Having a lower IQ for me somehow means what? That I'm going to suddenly have better ethics? I'm going to suddenly be a better person? I'm going to suddenly be more benevolent?
Yeah,
You
there's a
haven't,
correlation,
hang
yeah.
on. You haven't demonstrated that that's the case. And by the way, I would argue, in fact, Christian ethics are so overwhelmingly good that secularists who have no ethical system borrow ours. And so the thing is like, look, ultimately, you haven't made an argument. The circularity of your argument is just this. Look, you need to have a lower IQ. Well, how does that help our people group defend itself if we do? Well, it doesn't, but there's other values more important. Okay, does a higher IQ preclude you from that? Answer, no. No.
So having a higher IQ leads to atheism.
It doesn't actually.
So it's better to have a lower IQ.
It actually doesn't lead to atheism. So I went through comprehensively and dug through the data on this. No, having a higher IQ does not lead to atheism, and having a lower IQ does not necessarily lead to religion either. That's what's really funny about this argument. But even then, the argument that he was making made no sense, because what I said to him was, if it's the case that you have really smart people who are transhumanists who are trying to do things that you don't like, how is you and your people group being blithering idiots going to be helpful in your fight against that? Can you explain that? He's like, well, because otherwise it'll, if your IQ is too high, that's going to lead you towards atheism. And it's like, by the way, that's a bad argument too, because what you're saying there is that religion is for stupid people. That's literally what you're saying there. Religion is for stupid people, and Islam is for stupid people. That's what that argument ends up being. Religion is for the dumb. And that was what he was trying to argue. It was foolish, right? And by the way, it doesn't actually help us if you have a high IQ people who are trying to do things to your people group you don't like. You being lower IQ is not going to assist in any way with that. In fact, it's going to be very detrimental.
Yeah, and I mean, also the argument sort of says that as you're becoming higher IQ and you have a more sophisticated society, that you're going to have atheists, and then there are going to be these people who are the enemies. But that's to say that the low IQ Muslim societies don't have enemies. Like, they definitely have enemies. It's just a different playing field that they're on compared to us, who have the secularists as our enemies in society.
Well, imagine being a people group that's so collectively stupid that 10 million of the people you hate more than anybody else on planet Earth is completely surrounded by your nations, and you can't do anything to them. I mean, the entirety of all of your nations collectively, they're smack dab in the middle of all of them, completely and totally surrounded by them, right? And you can't do anything to them because the donkey pull cart's not going to do it for you.
Yeah. Donkey pull cart. All right. Any parting thoughts on the Hikikachu debate before we move on?
Yeah, look, I thought he engaged in good faith, and I don't have anything personally against Daniel. He was nice to me, shook my hand, um, and we had the debate. I know that he's kind of a soldier for his side of this thing. His job is to represent the view of Islam the best he possibly can. My job is to represent the view of Orthodox Christianity in these political debates also the best that I can. So I thought that obviously I think I drubbed him pretty badly in that debate, but I don't have anything personal against him. I know that a lot of these guys who are in the apologetic sphere are, that's what they do. It's all theology, and they all hate each other's guts.
Mm.
But I was there for the arguments and there for the debate, and that's exactly what we did. And I don't have any bad blood with the guy.
Yeah, I thought he argued in good faith as well, and it didn't go to any sort of below the belt attacks or anything like that. And I spoke to him.
We
the
did.
next
We
day.
had a brief exchange, but it was very brief. And I told him, I was like, we've kept it not in that world this entire time. Why not finish it clean? And he was like, okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Yep. No, it was a good debate.